I felt like the baby was like slipping out. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I know those of you who have been following me, I am so sorry I have not posted a video in like 10-11 weeks. You have no idea how hard it's been to do this video, and finally today took a shower, my kid is sleeping, and let's pray that I can finish this video. If you want to hear about my labor and delivery story with baby number 2, then please keep watching. Okay, so those of you who have been following me know that I was supposed to get induced on May 31st. I don't have to hear the baby. May 31st, and my induction time was at 4:30 in the morning. I did not go into labor earlier. I actually did get induced. So I went in at 4:30 and I had no pain, no contractions, nothing. Like, I felt fine, surprisingly, because if you have been following me before, you know that I had for so many weeks just having really bad contractions, cramping, and surprisingly, I had nothing. So I went in feeling absolutely fine. I did go into the hospital. I was, I believe, 3 centimeters dilated and about 80% effaced. So I did have quite a bit. I didn't do much progress in my dilation. You know, you go in, basic questions, you're in a cup, get into your gown, all of that stuff. Now, I didn't actually videotape the whole labor and delivery, but I'm going to just explain it to you guys. So I did write some of the stuff down so I didn't forget. I did not write everything. I think past a certain point, I kind of just was just so out of it, and I was not really able to you know, write everything down, but I do remember a good amount of everything that happened. So at 5:40, they finally started me on Pitocin, and they started me at 2. I still wasn't having any contractions or anything like that. Then at 6:20, they bumped me up to a 4. And that's when I started to have contractions. They were about 5 to 7 minutes apart. "20 minutes after they put me up to a 4, I started to have contractions. They became even faster. So instead of about 5 to 7 minutes, they became 4 to 5 minutes apart. Then at 7:15, she bumped me up to a 6. I was feeling fine this whole time, just starting to get contractions. But the pain was bearable. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was definitely increasing as the contractions did get closer. 7:15, she bumped me up. She bumped me up to a 6 on the Pitocin, and by then my contractions became even worse and the pain did get stronger, and they became 3 to 4 minutes apart at that time. So about a half hour after she bumped me up to a 6, my OB came and checked on me. I believe I was at a 4 by then. She came and broke my water, which was something different for me because with my first pregnancy, my water broke at home and I went in with contractions and everything. So the second time around was definitely different. A few minutes after she broke my water, they bumped me up to an 8 with the Pitocin. Once she broke my water and bumped me up to an 8, I started to get, my contractions became stronger and stronger. Now, I was in a lot of pain, but I wasn't to a point yet where it was like I couldn't take it. But at the same time, she told me whenever I do want the epidural to ask for it about 30 minutes before I feel like I would want it, because it does take them time to come into the room and to, you know, get the epidural going. I was like, okay, I'm gonna deal with it as much as I can. About 20 minutes later, 15-20 minutes later, I called my nurse and I was like, please, I want to get this epidural, because they started to get even stronger. to the point where I was like, I don't want, you know, to be in so much pain and then, you know, ask for this epidural. So I did ask about 15-20 minutes after she broke my water and put me up to an 8. I asked for my epidural around 8:10. At 9:15 is when they came in and they did give me that epidural. It probably took about 30 minutes for the guy to come in to give me the epidural. Now with the epidural, and something similar happened with my first pregnancy like this. He got me ready and everything, and he put the epidural in, and he told me that he was going to test out a little bit of epidural, and he told me if I hear any ringing in my ears, if my heart starts to beat fast, or if I have like a weird taste in my mouth, to let him know. So he's, you know, he starts a little bit of it, and the first few seconds I was fine, and then all of a sudden my heart was racing like crazy. I mean, I really got scared. I was like, oh my God, my heart. And it was just beating really, really fast. And I told him, and then all of a sudden my ears started to ring. And he's like, okay, don't worry, it's gonna go away. Just, you know, give it a few seconds. Which it did. It did go away and everything. But he said he had to redo it. And she's so cute. And it wasn't, he said that it wasn't like how he put it in, it's just the way like my spine is. I have a lot of air. I don't really remember what he said. I was like out of it, and I was just like hating my life, like great. Like, you know, I have to get this redone. And those of you who've gotten epidural, I mean, it hurts. That needle that, you know, makes you numb, that hurts. I was like, great, I gotta do it again. Which, with my first pregnancy, I had to also get it redone. So he did it again. So like the whole process took a while. But luckily the second time that he did put it in, it was fine. It was correct. Everything was fine. And by then my contractions were just so bad that I literally was so happy to freaking have the epidural. Those of you mamas that do it with no epidural or anything, you guys are amazing. I don't know how you do it, but it's hard. So I was feeling more numb on one side than the other. So they did have me, you know, flip over to on my side. I think it was like every half hour I would flip over. Laying on your side, she put one of those peanut balls in between my legs, and that's supposed to help. Okay, she just... So that helps with dilation as well. Shortly after I also got my epidural, I started to feel really, really itchy. My whole body, like, well, at first it was like my lower body was starting to itch really bad. And I told my nurse, I'm like, I feel really itchy. I was kind of itchy on my arms, but mostly on my legs. I just felt itchy. And she's like, maybe it's from the epidural, whatever. So she went to go request some Benadryl. And she added the Benadryl into my IV. So, and that didn't help at all, to be honest. It didn't really make a difference because I actually started to itch even more. And by this time, I mean, maybe half hour had passed, maybe even a little longer, and my whole body was really, really, like, I mean, I was so itchy. It was like a little bit at first and it just got worse. So the Benadryl didn't help at all. It actually just made me really tired, and I was already tired enough because we had been in the hospital so early, and that night I had only slept in 2 hours, and I hadn't slept at all since I got to the hospital yet. Couldn't wait till I at least had the epidural to sleep. But after the epidural and everything that happened, I was so itchy. The last thing like I could do was sleep. Like, I mean, I felt like I was drunk. I just could barely open my eyes, and I'm tired, could not sleep. So she came in, and when I told her I was still itchy, she came in and she gave me nausea medicine. She thought that maybe that would help. It didn't really help. The whole time I was having low blood pressure, so she kept asking me, do you feel dizzy? Do you feel nauseous? Do you feel that? She also gave me that medicine to help with my low blood pressure as well. So yeah, the whole time my blood pressure was low, but the thing is I felt fine. I told her, I mean, I didn't feel dizzy. I didn't feel nauseous at all. I felt fine, but I just had low blood pressure the whole time. A little bit after, the itchiness didn't go away or anything. It just stayed. It kind of eventually just wasn't as strong. I still felt itchy, but it wasn't that crazy itchiness that I was feeling before. I would say it was probably around 11 o'clock. I started to feel my nut, like the epidural, kind of wearing off, which is crazy because I hadn't even had it in that long. It was maybe only an hour and a half, but I definitely felt that I was starting to feel my contractions a lot more. So I ended up pressing, they give you like a little button to press to increase, I guess, the epidural. Only, I guess, press it like once every half hour. So I pressed it, and the first time I had to wait a half hour, but it didn't do anything at all. And I remember the guy that did the epidural came in and he inserted something as well through my IV. I don't even remember what it is now, to be honest, but he gave me something. Half hour passed, like I still didn't feel numb. I still felt the same. So my nurse told me just, you know, press it one more time. So I pressed it again, and the second time that I pressed it, it really made me numb. So I wasn't feeling contractions anymore, but I was starting to feel pressure. So I was feeling some pressure, and I was gonna, you know, a half hour passed and I was gonna press it again because I was like, I don't wanna feel anything. I don't wanna feel pressure. I don't wanna feel contractions. I don't wanna feel anything. And a part of me was afraid of it like wearing off and it's time to deliver or something. But a part of me told me, don't do it. Like there was something in me that said, don't press the button. So I didn't press it, but I'm happy I didn't because they had said that I would probably give birth around 3, 4 o'clock. The nurse had checked me not that long before then, and I think I was at a 6. And all of a sudden, I just felt all this pressure, and the pressure just got worse and worse. And what's crazy is, like, I went from a 6 to a 10 so fast. I mean, it was probably in a matter of like 30 minutes maybe. I just felt like real bad pressure, and I felt like the baby was like slipping out. It's so funny to say, but like I'm so numb, but I still feel all this pressure. So like, and I told the nurse, I was like, I seriously feel like this baby is about to come out. I'm like, I feel like she's slipping. And my nurse was like, really? Like, I mean, like, cause she hadn't checked me, you know, that long before. And I was at a 6, so she checks me and she's like, oh, you're at an 8, but no, still no baby coming down. And she's like, I'll check you again in like a half hour. But if you feel more pressure, let me know. Like if you feel like there's a lot of pressure or whatever, let me know and I'll check you before the half hour. So I said, okay. And you know, she had me flip over to the other side, and it was like 5 minutes after she checked me, and I was like telling my mom, I was like, Mom, like this baby is about to, like, she's literally, like, I felt like something is slipping out. I felt like I just needed to push. It was like, I had not, like, I've heard people talk about it before where you just feel that urge to push, but with my first pregnancy, I was so numb that I never felt even pressure. I never felt it. I never felt anything, which is bad, but that's what I had experienced. So I didn't know like that urge to push. Like I just pushed when they told me to push. It wasn't a feeling that I had. So my mom goes and gets the nurse, and I tell the nurse, I'm like, I feel like I have to push. I just can't. And it's like a feeling like you can't, it's so hard to control. It's so hard. It's like you're not supposed to push, but you can't. Like I was trying so hard not to push. So the nurse kind of was like, probably thinking like I'm over exaggerating or something, thinking I'm crazy, because she had literally just checked me. It had not even been 5 minutes. And she checks me, she's like, oh, yep, you're at a 10. And when she checked me the first time, like 5 minutes prior to that, and she told me I was 8 centimeters, she said, oh, you have like your bloody show. So that was like a good sign too. So yeah, it was like 5 minutes later, she checked me, she's like, yep, you're at 10. And at this point, I was really nervous because it was getting harder and harder not to push. Like, I didn't push the whole time, but I wanted to so bad. And I just felt like this baby was just gonna come flying out. Called my OB, and I was so afraid she was not gonna, even though like the clinic is right by the hospital. I think it's like 5 minutes probably driving. I was so afraid like she wasn't gonna be able to make it. You have no idea. So they were prepping me, and usually like the nurse will do like a couple pushes, like have you know, before the doctor comes. But my nurse like didn't even try it because like the baby probably would have been flying out. Who knows? Like she didn't want to risk it because of how I just kept saying like, this baby's gonna come out, I feel it. Once my doctor ran in, I was so relieved. It just felt like, God, like I wasn't like as worried as I was before, this baby coming out without my, you know, my OB there. So of course the whole room like fills up with nurses, and my doctor was trying to get dressed, but she did have me push a couple times. And those like, you know, prep pushes or whatever. And I pushed, I think within 2 or 3 contractions, and Sandra was out. So I pushed for about 5 minutes. So the actual delivery was really, really fast, but the actual labor took time. And I did have, it wasn't a terrible, you know, delivery. It was definitely, I would say worse than the first time, the actual labor part. Which is surprising, but at least the delivery was better. Now when I started to feel pressure, my body started to, she checked me, at a bloody show and everything, but by that time my body started to shake really, really bad. And once she checked me at 10, she told me that I was at 10 and everything, my body started to shake even more. My body was shaking, like I can't explain it. I got really, 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 really cold. I was extremely cold, and I was shivering really bad, and my whole body was shaking, and I could not control it at all. It was like probably a good 10 minutes of me like shivering and shaking. And even when my doctor came, I was still shivering and everything. It just slowly got better, and once I actually gave birth, I'm pretty sure I stopped shaking. It was kind of scary. My baby girl Sandra Ruby was born on May 31st at 12:36 p.m. So she was definitely born a lot earlier than they had all expected, but thankfully she was good and healthy. When she was born, as I was giving birth to her, I guess her shoulders got stuck, and I was pushing, but she wasn't really coming out. She was stuck, and I guess the doctor just kind of had to grab her while I was pushing. And when she was born, she was very, very, very blue, and she didn't cry right away. And I mean, it was probably just a few seconds, but it literally felt like 5 minutes, and it was so scary. I took her, and they put her on my chest, and she wasn't crying. And I think it was the nurse practitioner. She's sitting there, like, you know, tapping her, trying to suction things out, and you could tell like the nurse seemed nervous, like she wasn't crying. But then luckily when she did cry, it was like, it was such a good feeling. It was just amazing. And thankfully she's healthy and everything. She was like really blue and bruised like all around here when she was first born, and she was like that for the first maybe 2 days. But luckily it all went away, and she, you know, is currently right now 10 weeks and 1 day old, and she is growing like crazy. I will show you guys her here in a bit. She kind of looks like a boy, and she's wearing like a neutral green color today, so she's gonna look more like a boy. So this is our little angel, Sandra. Say hi. Yeah. I'm so obsessed, you guys. You have no idea how obsessed I am. It's crazy because I definitely feel like I'm enjoying her a lot more than I did with my first. Thankfully, I didn't have any postpartum depression or anything like that. And I was feeling a lot better. I'll post a video of my labor and delivery with my first daughter. I did have a lot of I was in a lot of pain and depression with my first one, and this time it was nothing like that. Even my recovery, my stitches, I tore. I just tore one. I had one tear, and then I had some skin that ripped that she did sew up, and so it was definitely a million times easier than the first time. The first time I definitely tore a lot more, and my recovery was a lot worse, where with this time, within a week I was feeling a lot better. So it just, you know, having a easy recovery also helps you enjoy your child as well. And again, you guys, I'm so sorry that I have not posted a video till now. I really, you know, starting to get into it, but it's just been so hard so many times. Those of you who are mothers know this, and especially mothers of more than one child, you know that it's how difficult it is. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm definitely going to be posting a lot more videos. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and make sure that you hit that bell button to make sure you get notified every time I post a video. Thank you guys so much for watching.